Within the vast world of Azeroth, there is always something new to discover. Layers of history, cut content, and details that might take 2, 5, or even 10 playthroughs to find, if they're ever found at all. The Red Ridge Mountains are home to one of my favorite secrets that is locked away within the game files, and today I want to share it with all of you. Today, we unpack the convoluted mystery behind the Horns of Nezra, the impossible rogue quest of classic WoW. As always, thank you for the fun comments and support, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. Most Alliance players are familiar with the town of Lakeshire, a small hamlet tucked away on the western shores of Lake Everstill. A number of peasants and members of the Stormwind Guard call this place home, but there are also a pair of more unusual visitors, a dwarf and a night elf, both dressed in rogue attire, located inconspicuously out on the dock. The dwarf, Lucius, is a member of the intelligence group SI7, and was featured in my video on the Hidden Circle. The Night Elf, however, is another enigma entirely. His name is Arantir, and he is known as the Hand of Chaos, a fitting title for one of the most intimidating people in town. As a level 45 elite, he is certainly one of the most powerful. His title could be a reference to the 90s fantasy novel, The Hand of Chaos, which includes a character who is the second in command within a guild of assassins. Let's keep that in mind for later. In all live versions of WoW, Arantir is basically just that, a reference with no real gameplay purpose. However, digging into the game files reveals a hidden, deactivated quest that opens up an entirely new area of investigation. Allow me to introduce you to quest number 2358, titled Horns of Nezra. Looking at the data files, we find that Arantir is the quest giver for this mission, and we can also see that he speaks exclusively to rogue players who have reached level 16. Many years ago, the Horns of Nezra were stolen from Ravenholt Manor. Across continents and oceans I have searched, only to discover that these insignificant beasts have had it in their possession all along. Slay every Blackrock orc you cross until the Horns of Nezra are recovered. Should you recover the horns, find me in Lakeshire. Do this for me, and your name shall be known to Ravenholt. These revelations happen early on in the leveling journey, but they're also very important. Ravenholt especially is a key piece of knowledge for young rogues. This is the Thieves Guild based out of Hillsbrad that is heavily tied to this specific class. Most rogues wait until level 24 to venture to the secluded manor, making this deprecated quest one of the earliest mentions that players would have picked up on. The focal point of the quest, though, are the Horns of Nezra, mysterious objects stolen from the manor by marauding Blackrock orcs. After fully investigating the Warcraft timeline, I landed on one particular time period when this heist most likely occurred, the Second War, nearly 20 years before the beginning of classic WoW. During the historic Battle of Hillsbrad, the Old Horde ravaged the foothills near the manor, and it's possible the independent rogues of Ravenholt fought a small skirmish with warbands of orcs on the outskirts of the battle. As the Second War progressed, the Horde was driven south to Blackrock Spire, where they remained until their encroachment into Red Ridge at the behest of their overlords, the Black Dragonflight. This would explain how the orcs of Red Ridge could have acquired the mythical horns in Lordaeron many years ago. With so many locations and events unfolding throughout the Second War, this could also explain why Arantir's search has been so lengthy, with orcs traveling throughout Lordaeron, up to Quel'Thalas, and even out to the Broken Isles and Kalimdor in the aftermath of the battle. So we've established a tentative timeline for this heist, featuring a magical artifact with a reclamation decades in the making. With the gravity of the situation understood, adventurers have but one goal: recover the Horns of Nezra. Though there are hundreds of orcs now tormenting the countryside and strongholds of Red Ridge, it's never a good idea to stand between a rogue and a piece of loot. After an exhaustive hunt, the horns eventually drop, and the artifact is returned at last. Do you have the Demon Prince's horns? To deny Ravenholt the artifact would be to deny one's own existence. Well done, rogue. You may yet walk among the assassins of Ravenholt. Here, we learn who or what Nezra really was, a demon prince, defeated in battle long ago. With the last major demon incursion before the Second War happening 10,000 years ago, it's possible these horns possess some sort of shadow power that have lingered for millennia, making them a highly desirable artifact for rogues and others who rely on the dark. Arantir's mission is now complete, but we still don't know much about his story. As his title implies, the elf might be a second in command within Ravenholt, which would be a bit unusual since it's only been about 4 years since Night Elves have ventured regularly to the Eastern Kingdoms. Another interpretation could be that he is the one destined to wield the demon horns going forward, literally becoming the Hand of Chaos, but we can't say for sure. The reward for this quest is also rather intriguing, featuring a bit of lore that was cut from the final release. As a young rogue adventuring in Darkshore, I discovered a tea that replenishes energy in combat. It has served me well throughout the years, and now I pass on a taste of the thistle tea to you. Drink of it when you tire, and fight with vigor once more. Rogues in WoW use energy as a resource, making this reward, a stack of 10 thistle tea items, very helpful in a bind. Of course, with the quest being deactivated, there's no way to obtain this item. Or is there? It seems the devs didn't want to remove this cool item entirely, and in a separate rogue quest line that takes place in Westfall and the Barrens, which I covered in my Zanzil conspiracy video, a cooking recipe for thistle tea is awarded to those who successfully infiltrate an enemy stronghold. The only other way to acquire this recipe is from Smudge Thunderwood, a shady dealer found at Ravenholt, which supports the idea that Arantir may have worked with other rogues after arriving from Kalimdor. There are a few final details to discuss regarding this strange quest. The game files also contain a related NPC named Arantir's Shadow, who is essentially the same character but with a stealth effect. I'm not sure how or where he was going to fit into the story, but I figured I'd mention him anyway. The history of players completing this quest is also very unusual. From vanilla to Wrath of the Lich King, very little information existed about it on the forums. However, for a very brief time in 2009, right after the release of patch 3.2, there was a flurry of comments posted online. Turns out, something in that update briefly caused the quest to be reactivated, and rogues could finally embark on the journey. Just a few weeks later though, the bug was fixed, meaning anybody who had accepted the quest but hadn't tracked down the horns yet couldn't turn the quest in, rendering it impossible once more. But for a few especially motivated young rogues, it's possible they unknowingly earned a place in the history books of WoW by being one of the very few to help Arantir finish his quest. Many private servers have gone and re-enabled this quest, which is fine, but in all official versions of the game, there is no way of finding the Horns of Nezra. The story of Arantir has been forgotten by most, and I hope that in sharing the tale with all of you today, you've gained a deeper appreciation for another of Azeroth's hidden secrets. This is the kind of content that would flourish in a true Classic Plus environment, and I guarantee there are many other cases out there just like it. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, may the Force be with you.